Hi, you're probably expecting Nebula Jazz right now. It's coming up soon. Just wanted to warn you it's going to be low FPS. This was recorded while I was in St. Louis, and for whatever reason, the computer that I was currently using to record this episode, it's only an hour long. We stopped after an hour. Just couldn't put up 30 FPS steady, nor could it record locally, so it's a little bit lower quality. And also, it just disconnected after about 50 minutes. So this episode will continue live this upcoming Saturday. We're just putting this out there because we'll probably continue straight from where it is. Thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate it. Sorry for the issues. We'll see you soon.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. Wow, that was an abrupt beginning. Thanks, JP. Welcome to episode number 6 of RollPlay Nebula Jazz. We've been hurled into the episode without any preamble. So hello, everyone. Welcome. How are we doing? My heart's pounding. I'm ready for action.
So ready.
Good. I'm glad.
Creepy episode.
Can I ask you a question? And Sam, you and Dodger can both answer this. So Power Rangers looks like total garbage. Is it or is it not total garbage? Please help me.
We enjoyed the crap out of it.
It is
like
the opposite of total garbage.
If somebody was trying to pick it apart and be like, was this like a really good movie? You know, like we enjoyed the crap. The whole time we were smiling. There were so many moments where we were like, yes, like
right.
We loved it.
The entire like movie theater was cheering multiple times. That's the kind of movie it was. It's like you
right.
Just...
Okay. So what would you say the age range of the people in the theater was that was cheering?
It was nostalgia kids.
Yeah, it was totally nostalgic. Okay. It was our age. Yeah. The entire theater was
like,
people our age.
Like
late
we went at like 11 early 90s
PM.
babies. And like they were dropping like 90s references all over the place and like the theme tune and people were just going crazy.
Yeah,
it was that
there were lots of winks to people.
If you go in being like, I'm a film critic, you're gonna just pick that movie to shreds.
That's exactly what film critics sound like. That's a great film critic impression.
Man, I remember the old Power Rangers. They were cool, and then you get this modern reimagining. It's hype as fuck, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out when did Power Rangers like start airing on like broadcast television in North America?
I think 1991.
Yeah, it was early 90s.
Yeah, 1993. Yeah.
I was really young.
The first movie was 95. Yeah, I was 10 then when that came out, so that sounds about right. That makes sense. So if you're a stuffed up film critic, you're not gonna enjoy it, but like it was still fun to watch.
Well, I mean, like the Rotten Tomatoes rating before it was released to the public was really low, and we were like, classic, because pretty much every time Sam and I go to a movie and are like, that was really fun. That was a really fun movie. The critic rating is always low, but
right. See such
it,
exciting films as the Underworld series.
Yeah.
I feel like there are two kinds of people. There are kind of people that like have this broad spectrum of movies and they judge every category the same no matter what movie. And then you get people that go and see a movie and like they have an expectation of that movie that doesn't line up with every other movie. Like I just wanted like fun 90s references. I wanted the Power Rangers. I wanted to hear the theme tune, and it like hit everything for me, and then I loved it.
Right. So compared to your expectations, it was good, but compared to say Full Metal Jacket, it might not be considered.
Right.
Precisely. Yeah.
Okay.
This is the Godfather of 2017.
I don't feel like the Power Rangers expecting that though. Like I don't go into it going, this better be better than every other movie I've ever seen ever combined.
Like, you're not going in to watch Martin Scorsese's Power Rangers.
Yeah. Oh my God! Please make that real. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I think if they advertise as like this super deep, like amazing movie that'll change your perception of movies, then yeah, I'm gonna go in like that, thinking that. But Power Rangers, I'm just gonna go, this better be at least fun.
I'm gonna see it a second time this weekend, and there's also already a second movie in the works. So
did y'all see the what's the name of that actress? She played Starbuck in the Battlestar Galactica remake. The one where she was like the Pink Ranger. Do you remember that little like fan like gritty Power Rangers?
I was actually going to bring that up. I think that some people are going into this movie kind of hoping it'll be like that. It's nothing like that. It's like the Power Rangers partially made by the people who make CW shows. Like it's
I was getting that kind of vibe off the trailers. Like, well, I haven't obviously seen the film or I'd have an opinion about it, but watching the trailers, I totally got a like sort of low budget superhero film kind of thing. Like like something you'd see on the CW or like kind of like DC's TV shows, like Smallville kind of as a vibe.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we loved it.
So probably not worth seeing if you've never seen or don't give a shit about Power Rangers generally. But if you're a Power Ranger fan,
Yeah, I don't know how a person who knows nothing about Power Rangers would feel about this film, but
because there is an audience. Like there are a lot of people who are the age of the actors who are playing the Power Rangers who are going to go to that and be like, hey, let's watch this superhero movie that all these oldies think is cool because they liked it from when they were kids.
I wonder if Twitch showing every episode of Power Rangers ever has gotten people into Power Rangers who never watched it. I was curious about that.
Yeah, I feel like that's why Saban would have done it, right, in the first place, to get people hype about it and not necessarily to bring in like existing fans. But I don't know. We have such a myopic point of view on this because we're so immersed in the space, and like we got hit hard with Power Rangers everywhere all the time. But your average like Twitch stream viewer,
how long have I been muted?
Since the
Eddie.
last time I heard you speak.
Too long.
Did you have something you'd like to contribute, Sam?
No.
Oh, now that you're
like, if you don't know the Power Rangers, you probably won't enjoy the movie. If you do, you will love it.
How much of that is true, do you think, of like just superhero movies in general right now? Because the Justice League trailer came out today, and I personally don't give a fuck about DC superheroes. I never like read the comics when I was a kid, and I'm also not really that into the idea of the Justice League movie because it doesn't have Martian Manhunter in it, and he's the best. But do you think that they're like, what angle do you think they're trying to take on like getting those new fans in? Like, what did Power Rangers do to bring in people who didn't know it?
I wasn't a big fan of Marvel, but I still really enjoyed their movies. I think they also did a really good job at making it open. But DC, I'm a huge fan of, and I've been really disappointed in the movies. So,
yeah,
I think it can go both ways. With like fans will also be disappointed in some things. But yeah, I haven't seen Power Rangers, but I think it looks fun. I don't know.
Power Rangers is like it's a retelling that puts it more in line with like modern superhero movies. Like they're not martial artists; they're like regular kids, and then they get superpowers because it's like easier to digest than here's 5 random teenage martial arts champions and now they're so like
I mean even in regular Power like the first one, it was just regular kids who when they had the suit on were suddenly martial artists, right?
Wasn't Jason like a kung fu guy, and Tommy also was? Like I feel like there was
Tommy definitely was.
Zach was like a breakdance fighter guy, right? Like that was his thing. Man, Power Rangers, you were not good at a lot of
Kimberly
things.
was a cheerleader, so she was basically an expert fighter.
Yeah, cheerleading is mostly fighting, I think.
Cheerleading is rough, man.
Based on my understanding of it. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Well,
Twitch tweeted out, what do you guys think they should do marathon next?
Oh, that's a great question. Do you have thoughts?
Yeah.
Well, they should marathon next, like fucking.
Yeah,
just do like Naruto or something that's gonna send the chat into a frenzy.
Oh my god,
That'd be the
Naruto movie
funniest
is
thing.
Gonna come out.
Dude, the thing I enjoy watching most, like I barely watched. Let's be honest, 99% of the Power Ranger seasons are fucking garbage, and so I was literally just watching Twitch chat and laughing my head off. That was like the best part. But yeah, they should do like Naruto or something.
Oh, I was saying like One Piece. They should do One Piece because there's like 600 episodes of the anime.
Dude.
Like we be here for months.
Yeah, I think it's tricky because you got to find a show, and this is totally just the like, inner buzzkill speaking. It's you got to find a show that's not already available for streaming elsewhere, and like
that's true.
They've got to angle in on the business part of it, and then also something that's promotional. So like, can you watch? I don't have a Crunchyroll subscription. I'm gonna turn this one over to you, Dodger. Is Death Note like readily available to stream?
Death Note's on Netflix. Yeah.
Because that'd be an obvious one, but it's Netflix has already got it covered.
I think the big suggestion was Bill Nye.
Oh, fuck. I would watch the shit out of Bill
Dragon
Nye.
Ball Z.
Yeah. Bill Nye is something I'd actually like watch a lot of. I would just sit there and watch that because I love that show.
Well, Bill Nye's new show is starting soon, or has already started. Right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I still don't know who
How
Bill
many
Nye is.
How many episodes of Bill Nye are there
guy?
though? Yeah,
How do you not know Bill Nye the Science Guy?
So he got
Because
his.
we don't have Bill Nye. We have a different science
Bill
guy.
Nye, the science guy.
There's
Bill Nye,
only
the
one
science
science guy,
guy.
and he's a good man.
He is a good fellow.
He's
Well,
a
so-
good man.
I mean, the funny thing about Bill Nye is that he got his start on a like very kind of like small Saturday Night Live-esque. I can't remember the name of it, but it was like a comedy show, late night comedy show in Seattle that like it didn't really get a lot of reach. Like you couldn't watch it if you lived in New York. It was just this thing, and they all just made a lot of bad Seattle jokes. And then he had his own little bit where they were like, "This is Bill Nye the Science Guy," and he did like a kind of science thing. And then they're like, "We should spin this off and make it
Dude,
a real
I've
show."
never seen this guy in my life.
What is the name?
You
of the show?
definitely have.
He's
in
so
the
freaky
memes.
looking.
I was gonna say he's still doing stuff. Yeah, he's a meme.
I haven't seen him.
He's a
I've heard Bill Nye the Science Guy. I haven't actually seen his. I just tweeted him.
He's great.
Dude, someone in the chat said they should do Buffy the Vampire Slayer reruns.
Well, now
But again, that's something that you can just watch on
Not for long.
Netflix.
Not for long.
I guess not for long. That's true.
Yeah.
it might be going somewhere else though. That's why they're taking it down.
Mhm.
What about like Steve Irwin, his stuff?
Have you guys seen the videos of his kid? He's like a tiny Steve. He loves animals so much.
See, if I were that kid, I would just be like, no, I have to get vengeance on the animal kingdom. I have to destroy them all.
Become a poacher.
Yeah, exactly. He's a big game hunter. He's a manta ray hunter.
I was gonna say maybe he loves all animals, but he just wants to kill all of the manta rays. Deep down.
This is his ticket in. And then when all the like wildlife conserves trust him and they like let him into the private lands of the reserves, he just fucking pulls out like this revolver for my father.
Shooting manta rays.
Yeah, into the water.
Oh no. Oh, that's dark times. Oh, look out, manta rays! Here comes evil Steve Irwin's baby. I mean, it does sound like the origin story of a supervillain, to be real. It really does. It does. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, they could put him in the new Justice League movie. He could fight Aquaman.
Perfect.
So you watched, speaking of Justice League, because I wanted your opinion, because I don't know anything about that business, but Hillary, you watched Justice League, the trailer, like while we were getting ready for the show.
Oh yeah.
What do you think? How are you feeling about that as a fan who's been hurt before?
A lot of CGI. A lot. But they made all the characters look really, really good. And I'm hoping there's a little bit of hope in me after being disappointed with Superman, Batman vs. Superman, and Suicide Squad. There's a little tiny bit in me that goes, please,
This time.
please, don't let me down. I can't handle it anymore. And I think it looked really good, especially Aquaman. Like, he looked the best.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa or whatever.
I mean,
Yeah.
Jason Momoa. Get
What
his
a
name right.
guy.
All right, he's not just a fucking piece of meat.
He's not. He's a very talented individual who's probably he's hot.
He is. He's a beautiful man. Sam's just feeling protective because he taught him how to play For Honor.
I did.
Oh, really?
I taught Aquaman how to play For Honor.
yeah.
Wonder Woman
Live on
also
stream.
looks good, though. I really hope.
I love the Wonder Woman trailer.
He
I
was
like,
just as fuckable in real life. I'll be frank.
He's watching right now. He's like, Sam.
Yeah.
Why didn't you say anything?
Yeah.
I was right there next to you.
The love that could have been.
Oh,
well.
God. Dashed.
I think it's like one of those, I'm hopeful, but I'm going to keep my expectations really low. So that way I'm less disappointed if it's bad. Because
Wow, that's so sad.
Yeah.
that's DC movies.
Yeah.
DC movies.
Is Wonder Woman set in World War One, like completely? Is the whole like film set there, or is it
so.
just the
It
background
looked
of
like
it?
it.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was saying the other day we don't have enough like World War One movies. World War One's a very interesting war, and I like when they do things like throw a superhero in it, because then it's like, whoa, it's World War One, but there's a superhero.
Fuck.
I'm about that. And
I feel
I'm
like
so
World
tired
War
of World
II is
War
a lot
II.
easier to be like,
Yeah.
we did it.
Well, because World War
That's why
II
people
is
just-
we can still justify it as kind of like a heroic war, but like World War One, it's like, yeah, let's go over there and get mustard gassed. Cool.
Yeah.
Kind of grim. Which is why I think putting the superhero in it makes it like they can avoid most of the like, oh God, it's horrible. Because
Do
you know
you
you shoot.
think that, what's his name? Was it? Oh, wait, no, nope. Never mind. Oh my God, my brain. I was going to say Captain America, but that's Marvel. Wouldn't that be cool, though? That'd be cool. So, no, never mind.
JP is making us each disappear one by one in the
Okay.
overlay, and it's weirding me out. I look over and I just see somebody missing, and I'm like, where'd they go? And then they come back.
It's cool. We'll be here. There's some live testing going on, production.
Yeah,
It's a-
yeah.
Yep.
the thing. Jesse, you've been unusually quiet. How's
I
things? How
haven't
you
seen
doing,
Power
buddy?
Rangers, and my opinion on comic book movies, I enjoy them all. So
Tell me something about Star Wars, Jesse.
Yo,
Well-
Jesse went to a Game of Thrones themed dinner.
Oh, I saw
other
on your
day.
Instagram. What
That's
was that
true.
about? Something about snow? What happened?
yeah, so it was
Was
it
it
was
great
this,
there?
It was this concert that was at the Forum here in LA, and it was a Game of Thrones, like I guess the guy who created all the music is touring with this giant orchestra. And they're going around the country, and the seats we had were like at tables right next to the stage. And so the entire night was like them playing Game of Thronesy music with all these different musicians and people on the stage and choirs and stuff. And every single song had like a different, the stage would change and things would move, and there would be like during one song, for example, like it was a cool transition where they had this thing about the dragons, and so the stage, while dragons are on like the screen and stuff, like fire and shit shooting out of the stage and like going everywhere. But while that song was going on, because everyone was so focused on that, what people didn't realize is for those who haven't seen Game of Thrones, at one point during the story, there's these like bad guys in golden masks who go after Daenerys, right? And so they're like they're like, I don't know, the ISIS of this book series, whatever the case may be. They're like, they have these golden masks, and so while everyone's staring at the fire, those people are like in the audience, just like standing. Yeah, and so we turn around. There's like one guy just behind us, like staring at us. There are people in the orchestra. It was like that kind of stuff. Like, and then they did that song. They did like their song, and so it was like, what the fuck? So anyway, at one point they did the White Walkers, and it started to like fake snow, but it got worse and worse and worse. And we were right beneath where they were letting the snow out. So we had all these drinks on this table, and by the end of the song, it was all covered in paper. And we were like, all of us are just covered in paper. I posted photos of us just like not having a good time. We were like, this shit needs to end. Like, it was coming down. I got home and like shook off. Like, I still had stuff in my clothes, and it was just like formed a pile on the floor. It was like, I can't. This was too much. This was too much.
Too much immersion.
You said that the
Yeah.
audience was like split up by house too.
Yeah.
Right?
So yeah, there was a like a Targaryen house and then a Lannister house area, and all the things were split up. And so you like they went through all the different themes of people and stuff. It was
So
good.
if you like buy the tickets later, you get the cheap seats, or you like at the House Fossaway table, like
no,
way the
like
fuck
literally
back.
everyone. Seriously, everyone has
Suck it, Green
like,
Apple Fossaways. No one likes you.
like there was you can be a house like we were House Lannister, so we were part of the house. Then there's the Bannermen, who like are a few rows back, and then there's like it goes all the way up to like you work in the mines. There's like some shit, and that's like like way up top cheap seats. And so it was really interesting to see how they pulled this off, and like they definitely my favorite musician. Everyone on the stage, everyone had that like I'm a little bit full of myself attitude, because you know, like, we're fucking awesome musicians, right? And there's one guy who was in front of us who just played every wind instrument there was on earth, and just there's one he's playing, he's twirling, he's swinging something while playing it, and that's what makes the notes. It was crazy. Everyone was like into their own, like, I'm fucking awesome, except one dude, this old Indian, I'm gonna say dad. He looked like just he walked out on stage, calm as can be, sat down, and then ripped like crazy on bongos. It was like, everyone was like, oh, it was amazing. Everyone else was real, like, like dancing and stuff. This guy was just like, let me show you how to play. We were just like, oh fuck, it was so good. Yeah, so it was an interesting night.
Big ups to Bongo Dad.
Bongo Dad saved it. He really saved. He brought us back into it after the snow debacle. We were like, this is the worst. Bongo Dad came out and was like, don't worry, boys. It was like, oh, you saved us, Bongo Dad. Yeah, that's what happened.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I was thrilled. I was sad. I've had a whole range of emotions hearing your story about Bongo Dad and your adventures.
It wouldn't have been so bad. The drink part wouldn't have been so bad had they not been like $12 rum and cokes that then had like fucking layers of paper dumped on them. We were like, oh cool, I wasn't gonna drink that anyway. So yeah, we didn't even notice. We were just looking at the stage like, wow, this is beautiful. Then we looked down the table and there's a pile of like paper snow. And then we look at each other and we're just covered in it. We're like, oh, well, this sucks.
Yep. They went too far. Well, at least nobody died. At least no one was stabbed at the end of the night, because that I feel like would be the assumption.
At the end of the night, they did a one of those things where they show you all the people who died like over the past year, but they did one of those like
right, like at the Oscars
memoriam thing, like they did it for all the characters who died throughout the show, and you're just like, fuck, they kill a lot of people on this show. Like you really realize it when they put them all back to back and it takes 6 minutes, and you're like, wow, I can't believe they all died.
I'm so glad that we weren't there. Sam was like, it's really good that we didn't go because we're like 2 seasons behind and we would have been spoiled really bad. I was like,
oh,
you're right.
You guys would have been ultra super spoiled. A lot of spoils. They definitely did like there's a song that plays at the end of the very last episode of last season that if you've seen it is like a song created for that scene. So they literally played the entire song with the entire scene like playing out around you, and literally it's one of the biggest moments in the history of that show that like changes everything. And I was like, yo, if there are people, because the beginning is like, how many people have not seen Game of Thrones? There were a few hands. I was like, those motherfuckers just got super spoiled.
Yeah, why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah,
maybe like best friends or something. Somebody's like, hey, I got tickets to this thing, will you go with me? That kind of a situation.
Like spouse or something that hasn't seen it yet.
Look, I'm just gonna say, if you have a spouse that hasn't seen it yet and you've seen it, probably should get a divorce. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm just gonna say, if you're watching it and she's or he is not, end it. Just go find someone to watch it with you.
I stopped after season 2, so I'd probably just be like, I don't know what's going on anymore. So I don't know. I don't watch a lot of TV though, so.
Yeah, that's fair. It's an undertaking for sure.
TV is an undertaking.
It is. Listen.
Well, I'd be like,
if you care about film the way that I do, Jesse, you see, you take these things. No,
I really don't.
No, it's true. Very few people do.
I'm so sorry. No.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. When's Game of Thrones starting again? And how many seasons are there left? Like not many, right?
Like this summer it starts up again. There are 2 seasons left. This one is supposedly winter finally got here, and then next season's supposed to be like, finally it ends. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess that's the question, right? Maybe George R.R. Martin is the last character of the show to die.
Oh my God, would that be amazing?
They're just keeping him on life support.
I'm here to save everyone. And he dies.
And that's it. Yep. Cool. Well, I'm excited to get back into it. I always forget that it exists in between seasons, and then it starts again. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing that I kind of remember liking.
Well, that's the HBO thing. Like, I was so excited. I was like, damn, Westworld was a great show. Can't wait for season 2. A year and a half I have to wait. I'm like, okay.
It's the same with Sherlock, and I've gotten into Sherlock when I can watch, but it's like an hour and a half per episode. So I'm like, this is I gotta watch a movie, so I have to have time aside for this.
Yeah, each season is like 3 mini movies.
So by the time I like catch up, the next season's gonna be out, so I'll be okay.
Interesting. Cool. Well, we only have a few more years to go, and then we'll see. I don't think anyone's assuming that the books are going to be finished before the show does. I think we're done with that, right? As nerds.
They already the last season already was past the books. So like everything that happened last season was like.
Wouldn't it be amazing if Martin was just like, if he was just like, fuck it, I'm just not finishing them. Never mind. Like, I'm done with books. I'm not a novelist anymore. Man, the internet would die.
I definitely thought when Adam said we've only got a few years left that he was saying for the TV industry in general, like we only have a few years left until the apocalypse happens and the whole media industry collapses. So, make sure you watch everything you want to watch now before, that is homesteading in the middle of fields.
It's a pretty on-brand thing for me to say.
Grapes of wrath up in here.
Yeah, we can believe that's also true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair. All right, cool. Well, I mean, if that's the case, we should get playing this game because we've only got a few years left before society collapses.
Or it's
so
over.
let's
Yeah.
have some fun before
Yay.
then. Did everybody do prior to getting us started? Everybody do your homework? Did you upgrade your characters? Because you have a stat that goes up. I'm gonna guess no
I
one.
did.
Yes.
I
I
did
did.
one stat.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even care if you're lying to me and you're doing it now. Thank you.
No, I did it. I did it
No.
literally while
Yeah.
we were still on the show.
Last week, yeah, man.
Mhm.
Beauty.
I
I
All
don't
right.
remember what I did. I don't remember what I upgraded, but I'm sure it was a good
I made it. I made it so that my quickness isn't 0 anymore. Because man, that fucks me over often.
Yeah, your elasticity is increasing.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So that's good. Everybody's got that sorted out. There's also the option to like switch stuff around if you wanted to move. You got a +4 somewhere. You'd rather have a +5, or you want to like shuffle them around. You can have done that. That's fine. So since it's only been a week IRL, I think we don't need to go into the whole recap. We can just start where we started. So I think this episode we start on we start out as a fade in from black, right? So we have a black screen, we fade in, and I think as we fade in, the soundtrack starts, and it's like kind of a funky like a bass line, like a cheerful like major chord like bass line, and then some really like synthy keyboards come in, and a woman's voice starts singing, and the song, the lyrics are like about wholesome like whole family life, like a family living in a house, and we see the house as we fade in, and it's the house that we saw from the last episode. This perfect little suburban house, little fence outside, and perfect artificial grass, little robot dog running around, and the title card fades in, Nebula Jazz, but it's not the usual like show logo. It's like colorful bubble letters, so it's like Nebula Jazz, and then we fade to, as the music keeps playing, we fade to Aurora's like bedroom, and Aurora, you're like just waking up, so we see you like get up and like kind of rub your eyes, and you like look at the camera, and the title comes up, and it's like Aurora, and music keeps going, and it fades out, and fades up on. Let's start with Eugene. So Eugene, where are you when we get the fade in on you? When we get your intro card.
Oh gosh. So Eugene opens up Aurora's bedroom door, and you can tell it seems a little different. Seems to maybe have the pearls back around his neck. Maybe seems to be like hunched over a little bit, as in a past episode you might have seen.
Right.
And he goes, Aurora, darling, you have to come downstairs. Your parents are wondering where you are. You sleeping so late, you kids.
Yeah, and so the title comes in. It's like Grandma Eugene, and then Eugene looks at the camera, and we fade out. We fade in on the kitchen, and we see two kind of like android-looking creatures. One has like an apron on, and the other has a mustache. But that's the only way you can tell them apart. They're basically just like body forms, but one has a mustache glued to its head, and the other one's wearing an apron. And then it says like Mom and Dad, and it fades in, and like Dad puts his arm around Mom, and they like gives a thumbs up with this robot claw, and it fades out and fades in on Rex. Where do we see Rex?
So we flash out to the sidewalk, and we see white sneakers, jeans. We see like a red baseball jacket with some white sleeves, and we see a comb flash out and slick back some hair, and
So
then
Rex
disappear
has like
inside.
like that, because do you normally have hair? Rex?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. So you're like, it's like
Like
smooth
slick backs
your
his hair, and then like pauses for a moment and looks at the camera and throws a wink, and it sparkles, and he kind of like hops the picket fence instead of opening the gate, and kind of raps on the door with his knuckles.
Yeah. So you like knock on the door, and then we get we get Rex shows up, and then the door opens, and we see Lass, the friend robot from before, and she opens the door, and she sees Rex, and her like faceplate like blushes a little, and she looks at the camera like, oh my, and like fans herself, and then it says like Lass at the bottom, and we fade out and fade back in on Quinn and Yahe and Tolochu. And it says like, and featuring special guest Quinn, and like, what's Quinn doing?
Across the street at a different house, you see a giant lizard man in a blue Hawaiian shirt with little pink triangles on it, with pink suede pants and blue shoes, pushing a lawnmower and waving like across the street. And the other two are in equally ridiculous outfits and also working outside on this beautiful, beautiful house.
I think one of them is like he's clipping the hedge in the shape of a giant like dinosaur, and he like accidentally clips the arm off, and he like looks at Quinn like, oops.
And there's and there's a pause. We're all like, ah.
Yeah, and it pans over, and Yahe, we see him, and he's wearing little like swim trunks, and he's in an inflatable kiddie pool in the yard, and he's just like drinking a beer and wearing sunglasses, and he pulls the sunglasses up and like looks at the camera like, oh, these two. And it fades out, and the music fades at the end. You know, the lyrics, something about like how important family is. And it fades out, and a voice says, kind of from nowhere, it says, Nebula Jazz is filmed before a live studio audience, and there's like applause as we fade in on a scene in the kitchen. So there's this linoleum floor, there's the kitchen table, it's got a couple of glasses of like lemonade on it, and we see Aurora and Lass at the table. Aurora, how are you dressed in this scene? What does Aurora look like?
I have my hair in a ponytail. It's like just all tied back and really fancy, or really pretty with a little bow. And she has just like something pretty simple because she just got up. She's got some PJs on, a plain tank top with some pajama pants, and she's got a bowl of cereal in front of her, about to eat.
All right, yeah, and for some reason, your best friend is just like in your house.
Yeah, already.
First thing in the morning. Yeah, I think she's probably got a like a backpack, and it's kind of like hanging open, and we can see some like school books in it, and she's got it hanging on the back of the chair, and she's holding and looking kind of nervously at a like a flyer. And it has like Alexitron High and a picture, like a clip art picture of a school, and like some balloons and stuff. And it's like important human interaction mating dance, and then like a string of digits on the bottom. And she puts it down on the table, and she looks earnestly at you. And again, if any of you want to like enter the scene anytime, feel free to do so. But she puts the paper down on the table and looks seriously at you, and she's like, Aurora, what are you gonna do? It's the last day before the big dance, and Bob, what's his name, Billy? Billy still hasn't asked you. And she like leans over on the table. She's like, looks at you like nervously. What do you say?
I have no idea, Lass. Maybe he doesn't like me. Is it? Oh my gosh! Is it because I wore that skirt last week? Oh. I know it's not his favorite color.
And she leans back and she shakes her head and she's like, no, remember, it doesn't matter how you dress. It's what's inside that counts. And she just like looks at the camera like very earnestly.
Yeah, and I think Eugene is like walking into the scene and says, that's right, girls, you know, sometimes friends are much more important than boys.
Yeah, and then there's some applause when you enter the scene. We hear like the sound of applause.
Yeah.
And yeah, you slime into the room. And she the girl Lass, she's like, "You're so smart, Grandma Eugene." And she like leans on her hand, like waiting for you to like dispense some more wisdom.
Oh my, you girls are so good at making me feel young.
But Grandma, how do I get Billy to like me?
Oh goodness, Aurora, all you need to do to make Billy like you is be yourself.
And I look over at Lass and I'm like, do you think we should go talk to him? Maybe today at school we could go talk to Billy.
And she I think she nods and like looks at her watch all dramatically. She's like, we better get going, and like stands up. And like we kind of wipe to a scene of like a long bank of school lockers. We can see a big banner that when we first see it is just like a string of ones and zeros, and then it kind of like flickers and becomes like English words, so we can see it advertising the human mating ritual dance. And yeah, there's like streamers and stuff, and like students kind of milling around. But we see Rex standing by one of the lockers. And what's going on, Rex? Are you like alone? Are you surrounded by people? What's your
Rex is like, he closes his locker and like he's holding like a football and he like spins it, and you see him like walk down the corridor, and he walks past like Lass and Aurora, and he like turns around and like gun fingers Lass, and he's like, pick you up at 8 tomorrow for the dance, yeah?
And she like brushes a strand of fiber optic cable out of her face, and she
And I sort of like giggle and squeal as like he does it for Lass.
yeah, and she looks at you, and she's like, "You bet, Rex," and kind of like hides behind her hands.
I go, you're
Yeah.
so lucky.
And so she comes over to you, Rex, and stands like a little too close, and like takes her. She kind of like drops her bag on the ground, like oops, and like all her like papers fall out.
Rex is like, oh, let me get that, and like drops to one knee.
Yeah,
And,
and she kneels down to get it too, and you kind of like bump heads.
Yeah.
And now you're like really close together, and she grabs her hand. She's like, ooh, and like there's this like super tight close up of the two of you.
Rex just kind of like looks at her and he's like a little like unconventionally shy. And
Well,
he's
and
like,
the great thing here too is that you're still you, right? So you have this
Yeah.
like mouth bristling with horrifying shark teeth.
yeah, he like looks down and up and like hands her a couple of books and papers, and he's like, there you go. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so she takes them and like puts them back in her bag and like puts her bag over her shoulder, and she's just like, my hero. And you're holding a piece of paper, like you're giving her a last piece of paper, and it's got a big like pink heart on it, but it looks like it's been drawn by like a dot matrix printer, like it's all square edged,
Yeah.
and like made up of little ASCII like symbols, and it has like R plus L in it, and she like looks at you and looks at it and like gets all embarrassed and like grabs it from you.
Rex just kind of grins and he's like, hey, let me keep that as good luck for the game today.
Yeah, I think she's just like standing there holding it, and she looks over at you, Aurora, like, oh god, what do I do?
And I just like, I go, I don't know. What is this? Is this normal? Do you guys? I don't know. It's like, oh no.
Yeah, and so when you, as if in response to your like confusion or your like uncertainty, we see her. Yeah, she turns and suddenly like her aspect changes. Like she's not like uncertain anymore, and she becomes sort of more confident. And she like hands you the paper, Rex, with a wink. And she's like, well, you better win, because if you do, maybe I'll have something special for you after the dance. And like gives you a look, and the audience is like, ooh, and it like it's all around you, just you hear this noise.
Yeah. The awkward silence is broken by like this robot jock. He like throws a football and it like hits Rex in the shoulder. And he's like, hey Rex, we're late for practice. And Rex is like, oh man, I gotta go, but I'll see you tonight. And then just kind of like jumps up, and he like kind of jumps backwards on the spot and turns on his heels and just follows the other robo jocks.
You do a little moonwalk.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah. So Lass grabs your arm, Aurora, and she's like, "We're gonna be late for class." And the bell starts. Like after she says that, the bell starts ringing, and she pulls you off screen. You both end up in class, and I think we see the class, and we see students like piling in, and they're all kind of generic looking human extras. In fact, I think that if you were to pause and like look closely, many of them are just copy pastes with different clothes on. And so you pile the two of you come into the room, and standing at the desk, we see Quinn, who is evidently a teacher at the school. How are you dressed, Quinn? And what classes? What's written on the blackboard behind you?
Oh my god. It is it's a mathematics class.
Mm-hmm.
And behind me on the board is my name, but it's like Quentin Talby is the name written there. And the book is up in front of my face, so you can only see my eyes. And I have like a little fisherman's hat on. And I sit there, and yeah, you can barely see me. So I'm behind the desk, so my body's covered, and there's a book up in front of my face, and all you can see is my eyes.
With
And
little
I'm
like reading glasses.
Yeah. But you can't tell what I look like because I'm hiding behind all this stuff. And I'm like, "Hello, students."
Yeah, and so everybody starts to pile in. And yeah, the kids are all like, yammering about this. They're all excited about this dance, and no one's paying any attention to you. The bell is finished ringing, and you need to start. You need to start class.
As he's like saying hello, I'm like leaning into the last. I'm like, oh my gosh, did you see what Sammy was wearing? I really hope. I think she's wearing that to get Billy's attention. Do you think it's true?
And she looks at you and she says, I don't think he's looking at Sammy, and she like nudges you and looks over her shoulder, and we get a snapshot to Billy. Billy the hunk. What does Billy
like
look like?
Slow motion, like looking up at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
word shot.
And then there's like a twinkle in his eyes as he like smiles, and his hair's like just like all like parted to the side, and it's back, and it's blonde, and he's got like this chiseled like chin and blue eyes.
He looks like he's about 22.
Yeah, pretty much. He looks like this clearly is high school, but he's clearly like he looks older. And he's got a white shirt on with just like it's just you can tell he's in shape underneath. Everything's too perfect. It's too perfect. It's like Photoshop in a magazine perfect.
Yeah. His face is obviously the product of scanning every popular like teenage TV and movie star from a period of time and then making a composite. And when we see him, he looks over at the desk. He's like, "Hey, what did you say your character's last name was, Quinn? What's
Mr. Talby.
Talby, yeah.
Talby.
So he's like, "Hey, Mr. Talby, my dog ate my homework," and he like nudges his friend, and there's like some like laughing.
And Mr. Talby replies, "Well, there's an old Tablachian proverb that states, 'A hungry dog is worth 4 in the bush.'" and then he like marks down on a piece of paper and gives him an F.
Yeah, right, for no reason.
Yeah.
It's just a blank paper.
Yeah,
Exactly.
It's just blank paper and just gives him an F. And gives
It's
it
just
to him.
F written on a piece of paper with a circle around it. He's like, "Oh, another F," and like looks at the camera, and there's a bit of like laughter, like, "Oh, this knucklehead." And he's standing, like he gets up to go get it, and he comes walking back, and he looks at you, Aurora, as he walks by, and everything goes like super slow motion, like the simulation gets turned way down, and he like looks at you, and there's a like sparkle in his eyes.
He's just like red, just like my cheeks and everything just turns like beet red. I just pure blush, and I like finger wave him, like try to be like subtle, but I'm not very subtle because I'm being really awkward as well.
Yeah.
Flirt.
Right. Okay. Well, let's have you roll. Let's have you roll to like get it.
To roll.
Yeah. Let's see if he notices you or if his
Roll for
eyes
hotness.
pass over you to that hussy Sammy.
Oh, better
shit.
not.
Fuck Sammy.
So I think this is gonna be probably a flashy role. You're trying to get his attention. You're the like kind of bookish. Oh my god!
But
I just realized what the
I'm
magazine
kind of trying to be sneaky about it. I don't want other people to see me flirting, especially Sammy, because she's really rude. And I don't want the teacher to be like, "What are you doing, Aurora?" So
Right. Okay. All right. Sure. That's fine. So you're trying to be sneaky.
Yeah.
So trying to give him the flirty eyes on the DL. Go ahead and roll.
Able to flirt.
And roll to overcome. And the difficulty is going to be let's call it 2.
Okay. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So he gives you just the slightest up nod as he makes eye contact with you.
just like I just like sink down in my seat after he looks away, just like so happy.
Yeah, and you notice as he walks by and goes back to his desk, and he like goes to sit down and like turns the chair around and sits on it like a cool guy. You notice on your desk there's a piece of paper. And again, if we were to pause, we would notice that the paper is folded at perfect, like down to the micron, 90-degree angles.
Yeah.
And it's just sitting on your desk. He seems to have left you a note.
Oh, and I look down at it, and I look at Lass. I'm like, why'd you give this to me?
And she shakes her head, and I think we can hear, like, Quinn, we can hear you in the background. You've started class. What are you lecturing about?
I am talking about how mathematics is the language and music of the universe, and how it all relates to. That's the only true language that people will understand.
Right, that's awesome. Okay, so we can hear you in the background, explaining the beauty of math, and and Lass looks at you, Aurora, and she shakes her head, and she's like, "I didn't do that," and she like looks over, and we see Billy, and he like gives you the little like
The guns.
yeah.
I like look at him, and I quickly look down, and you see me like it's still like flat on the table, and I start neatly unfolding it like too perfectly, one part at a time before it's like fully opened and in sync, like it's parallel to the desk exactly. And so it's like everything's like too perfect, and I flatten it out and I start reading it. And basically it's like this messy handwriting of a guy. Some guys have good handwriting. This is not good handwriting. It's like chicken scratch pretty much.
Yeah.
On purpose. It's like forced chicken scratch.
Right. It's like a font. It's like a font so that like all the letters individually, if you were to look at them, look messy, but all the Y's are the same and all the O's are the same. Like every letter is identical to the same letters. Yeah.
And all it says is mate ? And then a yes and no box.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And
and he like looks over you and looks at the note like
And of course I point to the yes.
Quinn, can I get a roll from you to notice this teenage interaction?
Absolutely.
Please?
What am I rolling?
You're gonna roll against a difficulty of 3, and I think for you it's probably just careful to notice that one of your students is not paying attention.
Sure. Cool.
Ooh, all right. So unless you want to use fate points, you are.
I totally do.
Okay. All right.
I totally want to. I would say that as a former space jacker,
right,
I notice small things others would not, because that is how you hack and jack in space.
All right. Okay. So I could see space jacking requiring a certain degree of attentiveness. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're spending the point. I'm okay with that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you want to re-roll that shit?
Yes, definitely.
All right. Do it.
God damn it.
Oh, you're worse. You're even worse. All right. No.
Lessons.
Actually, here's what happens. Unless you want to spend it again, I have a good like counter for that. So what we see is Quinn. You notice. You maybe start to notice, and then the part of your brain that like is responsible for hacker jacking. You're like, wait. And you start to think about it and in terms of like a spaceship and like noticing things, you maybe start to remember things. And then there's like a high-pitched whine in your head, and your vision blurs. Everything kind of gets staticky for a second, and then it's just like that whole memory just is gone. Like you don't think about it. It's like just for a second you were daydreaming. And I think one of the kids in the front row, they're like, yo, you need to see the nurse? Because you realize you're standing there and you're kind of just staring off into the distance.
No, I continue staring and don't say anything, and just like am completely zoned out and don't even acknowledge that I was just spoken to. Like something's clearly wrong.
Yeah, and the little membrane over your eyes just kind of clicks, and then you stare off in the distance. Okay.
And I look at Lass and I'm like, what's wrong with the teacher?
And she looks at you and she's like, where do I start? And there's like laugh.
Oh, you.
So we cut out on that laugh track. Sorry, you had some to.
No, it's fine.
Okay, so I was gonna say we cut out on that laugh track to outside. There was a field, and we can hear the canned sounds of football practice, right? Like thumping and cheering, and we hear a voice, a man's voice as we pan across the scene. We see a bunch of like teenagers in gym shorts, playing touch football, and yeah, we hear a man's voice be like, "All right, boys, if we're gonna win that big game against enemy high, you gotta practice. You gotta practice hard. I didn't become captain of this football team for nothing." And we pan over and we see the captain of the football team, and he's got an eye patch, and we recognize Captain Slipknot from earlier. Except that he's wearing like a jersey and some shorts. And again, he's like way like too old to be a high school student. He's got like a beard. And he grabs the ball and he chucks it, and we follow it. And Rex, can I get a roll from you to try to catch the ball and look cool in front of your teammates?
Mm-hmm.
All right. How are you doing it? What do we see? We follow the ball as it flies towards Rex.
It's flashy. It's flashy.
Yeah.
What do I need?
Let's just call it a 2.
Okay.
Cool.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Wow. Wow, these rolls.
All right. So if you want to, you can spend a fate point to reroll, or you can not catch the ball, Rex.
Here's what happens. Rex, he doesn't hear. He's like looking through the classroom window at Elle, whatever her name is. Lass. He's looking through the classroom window at Lass, and the football like hits him in the side of the head, and he kind of spins around to attention.
Yeah, so bonks off your head. You turn around and you see the captain, and he's got his arms folded, and he's like,